Ah, look who just stumbled into the truth. Welcome back, you beautiful chaos agents, you silent warriors, you ghosts they thought they buried. I've been waiting for you, because something just happened, didn't it? Something cracked open. Someone slipped. Someone got drunk on their own arrogance and let the mask fall just long enough for you to see what was always underneath. And now you're here, pulse racing, mind spinning, trying to make sense of what you just learned. Let me save you some time. Everything you suspected? Every paranoid thought you dismissed as overthinking? Every time you felt like something was off but couldn't quite name it? You were right. You were always right. They leaked it. Not intentionally, of course. They never do. But somewhere between their false confidence and their desperate need to brag, someone in their circle couldn't keep their mouth shut anymore. Maybe it was a text screenshot. Maybe it was a conversation overheard at exactly the right moment. Maybe it was a former ally who finally grew a conscience or just wanted to watch them burn. However it happened, the information is out now. The whole blueprint, the entire strategy they've been running against you for months, maybe years. And you know what the sickest part is? It's worse than you imagined. Because you thought maybe, just maybe, you were being paranoid. You thought maybe you were reading too much into things. But now you have proof, cold, undeniable. Screenshots don't lie, proof that they coordinated against you, that they planned your isolation, that they weaponized people you trusted, that they turned your own vulnerability into ammunition. And the question burning in your chest right now is simple. Why? Why you? Why this much effort? Why this much energy devoted to one person? I'll tell you why, but you already know. Because you scared them. Not with violence, not with threats, not with anything external. You scared them with your potential. You scared them with your refusal to stay down. You scared them with your ability to see through the masks everyone else believed. You represented something they couldn't control, a variable they couldn't predict, a force they couldn't manipulate with the usual tactics. So they did what cowards always do when they encounter something they can't dominate. They conspired. They organized. They built a cage out of lies, rumors, manipulated narratives, and strategic isolation. And they smiled in your face the entire time. They asked how you were doing while actively sabotaging your peace. They offered support while secretly celebrating every time you stumbled. They played the role of friend, ally, mentor, partner, while the whole time, behind closed doors, they were plotting your downfall like you were some kind of threat to national security. Let's talk about what you found out. Let's get specific because generalities don't do this justice. You discovered they had group chats. Multiple group chats, with names like situation management or keeping an eye on things, or some other sterile corporate terminology that made their malice sound professional. You found out they shared your private conversations, things you said in confidence, moments of vulnerability you shared, thinking you were safe. They screenshotted your words, stripped them of context, and passed them around like evidence in a trial you didn't know you were on. You learned they coordinated their responses to you, decided together how to react, what to say, when to pull back, when to apply pressure. Every interaction you had with them wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, rehearsed, part of a larger strategy you weren't supposed to figure out. You were playing checkers while they were playing psychological chess with a team of coaches watching from the sidelines. And the gaslighting. Let's not skip over the gaslighting, because that might be the most criminal part of all. When you started sensing something was wrong, when your intuition was screaming that things didn't add up, they made you question your own perception. They called you paranoid. They said you were overthinking. They suggested maybe you needed help, maybe you were stressed, maybe you were projecting your own insecurities. They weaponized therapy language against you, turned your self-awareness into a character flaw, made you feel crazy for noticing patterns that were absolutely real. And now you have proof those patterns weren't in your head. The conspiracy you felt was an actual conspiracy. The setup you sensed was a legitimate setup. Your intuition was sharper than their deception. But they almost convinced you otherwise. They almost made you doubt the one thing that could have saved you earlier, your own gut instinct. That's what makes this unforgivable. Not just what they did, but how they made you feel insane for seeing it. Here's what they didn't count on, though. They didn't count on the leak. They didn't count on their own circle being full of people just as fake as they are. Because here's the truth about people who conspire together. They don't actually trust each other. They're all just using each other for their own agendas. So when the opportunity came for one of them to gain something by exposing the others, or when the guilt finally outweighed the loyalty, or when they just got sloppy and careless, the information spilled out. And now you're holding it. Now you're staring at messages that confirm everything. Now you're reading conversations where they laughed about your struggles, where they celebrated your failures, where they coordinated their next moves against you like military strategists planning an invasion. And the rage you're feeling right now, that's not just anger. That's validation. That's your soul screaming, "I told you so," at every part of yourself that tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. But let's go deeper, because we need to understand the psychology behind what they did. These people, they weren't acting out of strength. They were acting out of pure, concentrated fear. Fear of what you represent. Fear of what you're capable of. Fear that if you reached your full potential, their mediocrity would be exposed by comparison. See, they needed you to fail, not because your failure gave them anything tangible, but because your success would have revealed how much they were coasting, how much they were faking, how much their confidence was just performance art covering up deep inadequacy. You were the mirror they couldn't stand to look into. So instead of dealing with their own reflection, they tried to shatter the mirror. They tried to break you before you could show them what they really were. And for a while, it almost worked. For a while, you questioned yourself, doubted your worth, wondered if maybe they were right about you. Let me tell you what was really happening during those moments of doubt. While you were crying, they were celebrating. While you were questioning your sanity, they were congratulating themselves on a strategy well executed. While you were isolating yourself, thinking you were the problem, they were high-fiving each other for successfully making you believe their lies. Every tear you shed was a victory to them. Every moment you spent wondering what was wrong with you instead of what was wrong with them was exactly what they wanted. They needed you to turn inward, to attack yourself, to become your own worst enemy. Because as long as you were focused on fixing yourself, you weren't focused on exposing them. As long as you believed you were broken, you wouldn't realize they were the ones who were defective, damaged, operating from a place of such deep insecurity that they had to coordinate group attacks just to feel powerful for 5 minutes. And now the masks are off. Now you've seen the messages. Now you know who said what, who initiated what, who went along with what, even though they claim to care about you. Now you're looking at people differently. That friend who always seemed supportive? You found their message suggesting ways to undermine your confidence. That mentor who acted like they wanted you to succeed? You saw where they advised others on how to limit your opportunities. That partner who claimed to have your back? You discovered they were reporting your every move to people who were actively working against you. Every relationship you thought was solid has cracks now. Every memory you thought was genuine is tainted. Every moment you believed was real now feels like a performance you weren't aware you were watching. And the grief you're feeling? That's normal. You're mourning the people you thought they were. You're grieving the relationships you believed you had. You're processing the death of a reality that never actually existed. But here's where we shift. Because yes, what they did is criminal. Yes, the betrayal runs deep. Yes, you have every right to feel devastated, furious, violated. But you also have something they never accounted for. You have the truth. You have evidence. You have ammunition. And most importantly, you have a choice about what to do with all of it. This is the moment that defines everything going forward. This is the fork in the road where you decide who you become after betrayal. Do you become bitter? Do you become vengeful? Do you let their poison turn you into a version of yourself you don't recognize? Or do you take this information, process it, and use it to build something they never saw coming? A version of yourself so untouchable, so evolved, so far beyond their reach that their entire plan becomes irrelevant. Not because you forgave them, but because you outgrew the need for their destruction to feel powerful. Listen carefully. Revenge is easy. Revenge is what they expect. They're probably already preparing for it, already crafting their victim narratives for when you expose them. They've got their excuses ready, their justifications lined up, their own counterattacks planned. They want you to come at them directly because that keeps you engaged with them. That keeps you in their world, playing their game, operating on their frequency. But what if you did something they can't prepare for? What if you took all this rage, all this pain, all this betrayal, and transmuted it into fuel for a transformation so profound that you become unrecognizable? What if you used their betrayal as the catalyst to become exactly what they feared you'd become? Not a victim screaming for justice, but a force of nature that doesn't need validation, doesn't need acknowledgement, doesn't need anything from them because you've built a reality where they simply don't matter anymore. Here's what I mean. They conspired to keep you small, so become large. Not loud, large. Not performative, expansive. Build something so impressive that their whispers become white noise. Create something so valuable that their attempts to undermine you look pathetic in comparison. Develop skills so sharp that their sabotage can't even reach you. They wanted to isolate you? Use that isolation to go so deep into your craft, your purpose, your evolution, that when you emerge, you're operating on a level they can't comprehend. They tried to turn people against you, build new connections with individuals who actually have substance, who operate with integrity, who don't need group chats to coordinate basic human decency. They attempted to destroy your reputation, build a body of work so undeniable that your results speak louder than their lies ever could. This is how you win, not by destroying them, but by making them irrelevant to your story. But I'm not going to lie to you and pretend the betrayal doesn't sting. I'm not going to feed you some spiritual bypass about forgiveness being for you, not them. Right now, you're allowed to be furious. You're allowed to feel the full weight of what they did. You're allowed to acknowledge that what they did wasn't just mean or petty. It was calculated evil. It was sustained, coordinated psychological warfare against someone who trusted them. That's not something you just brush off with positive affirmations and deep breaths. You need to feel this. You need to let the rage move through you. You need to sit with the fact that people you cared about were actively working to harm you. Because if you skip this part, if you jump straight to forgiveness or moving on without processing the depth of the violation, it'll just show up later in uglier ways. You'll become suspicious of everyone. You'll sabotage genuine connections because you're still carrying unprocessed betrayal. You'll attract similar situations because you didn't learn the lessons this one came to teach. So let's extract the lessons, because that's the only way this wasn't a complete waste of your time and energy. Lesson 1. Your intuition is sharper than you've been giving it credit for. Every time you felt something was off, it was off. Every time you sensed duplicity, there was duplicity. Every time you questioned someone's motives, your questions were valid. The lesson isn't that you should have trusted your gut sooner, although that's part of it. The lesson is that your gut is a highly sophisticated detection system that picks up on incongruence, inconsistency, and inauthenticity, even when your conscious mind is trying to rationalize it away. From now on, when that feeling shows up, you don't ignore it. You don't talk yourself out of it. You investigate it. You honor it. You let it guide your decisions, even when you can't immediately explain why something feels wrong. Lesson 2. Not everyone deserves access to you. The people who betrayed you, you let them in. You shared your dreams, your fears, your vulnerabilities with them. You gave them ammunition without realizing they were collecting it to use against you later. The lesson here isn't to become closed off or cynical. It's to become selective. To understand that intimacy, real intimacy, is earned over time through consistent demonstration of character, not through shared history, not through charming personalities, not through impressive credentials or social status, through repeated evidence that someone handles your trust with care, that they don't gossip about you to others, that they celebrate your wins genuinely, that they challenge you from a place of love, not competition, that they respect boundaries and communicate directly. These are the criteria, and anyone who doesn't meet them doesn't get the real you. They get the version of you that's appropriate for acquaintances, friendly but not vulnerable, present but not available for exploitation. Lesson 3. Groups lie. I don't care how tight a friend group seems, how long they've been together, how much they claim to have each other's backs. When groups form collective opinions about an individual, especially negative ones, there's almost always an agenda behind it. There's someone leading the charge, someone planting seeds, someone who benefits from the group turning against that person. And everyone else just goes along because humans are tribal, and going against the group consensus feels dangerous even when the group is wrong. The lesson is to be extremely skeptical of collective judgments. When multiple people suddenly have a problem with someone, especially when that someone is you, ask yourself, who started this narrative? Who benefits from this perspective? What information might be missing or distorted? Because more often than not, group consensus is just mob mentality, dressed up as shared concern, and the people participating in it feel justified because they're not acting alone. They're reinforcing each other's worst impulses and calling it solidarity. Lesson 4, and this is crucial. The people who smile the biggest often hide the sharpest knives. The ones who are overly friendly, overly helpful, overly interested in your business? Red flag. Genuine people don't perform kindness. They just are kind, in quiet, consistent, unglamorous ways. They don't announce their loyalty. They demonstrate it through actions over time. They don't need to constantly remind you how much they care, because their behavior speaks for itself. But performative people, they need the display. They need witnesses to their goodness. They need credit for being supportive. And often, that performance is covering up the exact opposite energy. They're overly nice to your face because they're actively hostile behind your back. They gather information under the guise of caring. They position themselves as confidants so they can later use what you tell them against you. The lesson is to trust consistency over intensity. Trust the friend who shows up in small ways repeatedly over the one who makes grand gestures occasionally. Trust patterns over promises. Now, let's talk about what happens next, because you can't just sit on this information forever. You have to make decisions. The first decision is whether to confront them, and I'm going to give you advice you might not want to hear. In most cases, confrontation is pointless. Not because you don't deserve answers. You absolutely do. But because people who are capable of this level of betrayal are also capable of lying directly to your face, rewriting history, playing the victim, and turning your legitimate grievances into evidence that you're unstable. They will gaslight you, even when confronted with proof. They will claim you're taking things out of context. They will say you're being dramatic, that it wasn't that serious, that you're misinterpreting their intentions. They will cry, apologize, promise to do better, and then do the exact same thing again once you let your guard down. You will not get the satisfaction you're looking for from confrontation because they don't operate with the same moral framework you do. They don't feel guilt the way you do. They feel inconvenience. They feel annoyance at being caught, but they don't feel genuine remorse. So what do instead? You disappear. Not literally, although distance is good. But you disappear from their ability to affect you emotionally. You stop responding to their provocations. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You become unreachable, not physically absent necessarily, but energetically unavailable. When they text, you respond politely but briefly. When they try to engage you in drama, you don't take the bait. When they attempt to provoke a reaction, you give them nothing. You become boring to them, uninteresting, not worth the effort. Because people like this, they feed on reaction. They need your anger, your hurt, your desperate attempts to prove yourself. When you stop providing that supply, they move on to someone else. And in the meantime, you're building a life so fulfilling that their absence becomes a relief rather than a loss. But what about the others? The ones who went along with it but weren't the ringleaders. The ones who liked the messages but didn't initiate them. The ones who stayed silent while you were being attacked but didn't actively participate. Here's the hard truth. Silence is participation. Watching someone get destroyed and doing nothing makes you complicit. These people might not have been the architects of your pain, but they were willing bystanders, and you need to decide if that's forgivable in your world. Some of them might reach out now that things are exposed. They might apologize, claim they felt pressured, say they didn't know it was that serious. And maybe some of them are genuine. Maybe some of them really were weak rather than malicious. But you're under no obligation to accept those apologies. You're under no obligation to make them feel better about their cowardice. You can acknowledge their apology and still choose not to restore the relationship. You can forgive them for your own peace without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. You can release the anger without reopening the door. Funny, isn't it? How blind they are when you're standing right in front of them. How they brush you off, treat you like background noise, like a whisper in a hurricane. Insignificant, replaceable. But now that you're gone, you're the scream they can't silence. Oh, they feel it. The absence. It wraps around their throats like a noose, tighter with every second. They pretend they don't care, pretend they're fine, but in the dead of night, when the world is quiet, when there's no one left to distract them, that's when it creeps in. That hollow ache, that realization, you were never nothing, you were everything, and now you're gone. They laughed once, smirked, dismissed you like you were just another shadow in their world. But the joke's on them, isn't it? Because now that shadow is all they see, everywhere, in every room, in every thought, in every regret that gnaws at their insides like a starving beast. You haunt them now, not with chains, not with screams. Oh no, that would be merciful, but with the crushing weight of what they lost. And the best part, you didn't even have to do a thing. No grand goodbye, no dramatic exit, just silence. And that silence, it's louder than any words ever could be. Oh, they thought they were clever, didn't they? Thought they could play their little games, push, pull, twist, and turn you like a puppet on their string. They saw your patience as weakness, your kindness as something to exploit. They took and took, never once stopping to wonder if there was a limit. But there always is. And when you left, oh, that's when they realized the game wasn't theirs to win. They thought you'd always be there, thought they could spit in your face, trample over your worth, and you'd just stay, smile, nod, endure. How predictable, how obedient, how pathetic. That's what they believed. They mistook your silence for submission, your loyalty for chains. But what happens when the pawn they used suddenly walks off the board? Checkmate. They never expected it. Never thought you'd have the guts to just disappear. No fight, no warnings, no chance for them to weasel their way back in. And now they sit in the ruins of their arrogance, sifting through the ashes, looking for the piece of you they so casually tossed aside. But here's the punchline. You're not coming back. Oh, how it burns them. They replay every moment, every word, every damn thing they did to push you away, searching for the misstep, the miscalculation, because now the power has shifted, hasn't it? The one they dismissed is the only thing they can't stop thinking about. Poetic. They treated you like an afterthought, a placeholder, something they could toss away and replace when it suited them. But people don't realize the value of oxygen until they're choking. And now they're gasping, wheezing, drowning in the weight of their own regrets. And you're watching from a distance with a smile. Monday, you were there, a presence they barely noticed, a shadow in the background of their self-absorbed world. They spoke over you, brushed you aside, treated you like an afterthought, and then, one day, you weren't. No warning, no dramatic exit, no final words for them to twist in their favor. Just gone. And that is what haunts them. Because if you had screamed, if you had fought, if you had thrown your pain in their face, they could have convinced themselves they still had power over you, that you were just another angry soul they could manipulate, another broken thing they could fix when it suited them. But silence, absence, that's a wound they can't stitch up with excuses. They search for answers, but there's nothing left to find. Every room they step into feels emptier. Every laugh they hear feels hollow. Every time they reach for the phone, a cold realization creeps in. You're not on the other end anymore. You're not anywhere. And that void, that's their punishment. At first they pretend it doesn't bother them. They tell themselves you were never that important, that they're better off. But late at night, when the world is quiet, that's when the truth crawls in. That's when the weight of their choices crushes down on them. Because suddenly everything reminds them of you. The things they said, the way they treated you, the little moments they dismissed as nothing. But nothing has a way of becoming everything when it's all you have left. They try to move on, but there's a nagging ache they can't shake, a whisper in the back of their mind that mocks them. It's your absence wrapping around them like a noose, tightening with every breath. They wanted you to stay small, to stay within their grasp, but by leaving, you became something bigger, something untouchable, something they can never undo. And that kills them. They hear it now, don't they? The silence, the kind that wraps around them like a slow creeping fog, suffocating in its stillness. They never noticed your presence, but now they choke on your absence. It's in the missing laughter, the unreturned messages, the spaces where your voice used to fill the air, and oh, it eats them alive. They walk into a room and expect to see you, but you're not there. They reach for their phone, halfway through dialing your number before it hits them. There's no one left to pick up. The weight of it is unbearable. The realization that they can't undo what they did, can't unwrite the story, can't take back the way they treated you. They thought you were permanent, something they could set aside and pick up whenever they pleased. But now, you're a ghost they can't shake. Every laugh sounds hollow, every conversation feels forced. Because without you, there's a void, one they can't fill no matter how many distractions they chase. The world feels smaller now, the colors a little duller. The background noise of life has dimmed, replaced by a deafening silence that only speaks one truth. You are gone, and they are the ones who let it happen. Oh, how they wish they could hear you again. Even the sound of your anger, your frustration, your final words. Anything would be better than this nothingness. Because silence is a mirror, reflecting back every mistake, every missed opportunity, every time they could have chosen you but didn't. And now, that silence, it's screaming the one thing they never wanted to admit. They needed you more than you ever needed them. They lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, haunted by everything they never said, by every time they pushed you away, thinking you'd always return. But you didn't. And now, the sound of their own heartbeat is the only reply. Rhythmic, hollow, empty. A reminder that for the first time, they are the ones left waiting. You were supposed to fade, weren't you? Disappear like a forgotten name in the wind, like ashes scattered in a storm. That's what they told themselves. That's what they wanted. But instead, you became something far worse. A shadow that never leaves. A whisper they can't ignore. the ghost that lingers in every quiet moment. And oh, how it torments them. They see you everywhere now, in the reflection of a cafe window, in the flickering glow of a street lamp, in the spaces between their thoughts where doubt creeps in. They turn their head too fast, swear they caught a glimpse of you in the crowd, only to realize it's just their own regret staring back at them. But the feeling remains, crawling up their spine, tightening its grip. You are not gone. Not really. Your name, it burns on their tongue, a bitter taste they can't swallow. They try to erase you, to drown out the memories with distractions, with noise, with empty company. But silence always finds them. And in that silence, you, the sound of your laughter in an empty room, the echo of your footsteps down a lonely hallway, the ghost of your presence in the spaces they swore they'd forget. They dream of you now, not in the way they used to, no, not with warmth, not with comfort. No, these dreams are different, twisted, dark. They wake up gasping, clutching their chest, heart pounding with the weight of everything left unsaid. You haunt them in the way that only true loss can, by making them wish they could turn back time, rewrite the script, undo their mistakes. But time, oh, time has locked the door, thrown away the key, and left them screaming on the other side. And that is your power, not in your presence, no, but in your absence. They thought they were strong enough to let you go, but now they're trapped in a prison of their own making. And the best part? You never even had to lift a finger. Regret. It's a slow poison, isn't it? Creeping in, drop by drop, until it seeps into their bones, until it owns them. They thought they were untouchable, that they could discard you like yesterday's news, move on without a second thought. But now they lie awake at night, replaying every word, every moment, every cruel little mistake that led to this silence, and it eats them alive. They would give anything to take it all back, to rewind the clock, undo the damage, swallow the venom they once spat so freely. But the past, it's not some cheap trick, not a story they can rewrite at will. No, no, no. The ink is dried, and they are left choking on every unspoken apology, every "I'm sorry" that never passed their lips. Too late, too late. Oh, they'll try, won't they? They'll reach out, send little messages, test the waters to see if you're still within reach. A casual "how have you been" wrapped in desperation, a weak attempt to slip back into your life like nothing ever happened. But you know better now. You've seen what they are, what they do, and you don't go back to the hands that once let you slip through their fingers. Let them suffer. Let them drown in the fire of their own regret. Because here's the truth. They never valued you. They only valued your presence, your energy, the way you made their world a little brighter. And now, standing in the darkness of their own making, they finally understand. You weren't just someone they knew. You were the best thing they ever had, and they lost you. But you walk forward, head high, back straight, unshackled from their weight, because the moment they realized what you were worth was the moment you stopped being theirs to have. Power isn't in the fight. It's not in the shouting, the endless back and forth, the desperate clawing for closure. No, no, no. Power is in the silence. In the moment you turned your back and never looked over your shoulder. No grand exit, no final words, just gone. And that is what shattered them. They expected a reaction, a plea, a tear-streaked goodbye. But instead, you gave them nothing. And now, in the void you left behind, they're the ones screaming, shouting into the emptiness, hoping, praying for an answer that will never come. Because you're done playing their little game. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was the ultimate power move. You didn't lower yourself to their level, didn't waste breath proving your worth to those too blind to see it. No, you let them sit in the ruins. Let them feel what it means to lose someone they thought would always be there. And the best part? You didn't even have to lift a finger. Now every place you once stood is haunted. Every word you once spoke echoes. They feel it in the silence. In the spaces you used to fill, in the laughter that no longer lingers in the air. You became a ghost, but not the kind that fades. No, you're the kind that lingers in the walls, in their thoughts, in the pit of their stomach when they realize they will never find another you. So let them scream. Let them drown in the absence of you. Because the greatest revenge, the sharpest knife, it was never anger, never vengeance. It was leaving and letting them rot in the silence you left behind. Funny, isn't it? How the ones who never saw your worth suddenly can't take their eyes off you. They thought you were small, replaceable, just another face in their forgettable little world. But now you're a storm, a force, a legend in the making, and they are nothing more than spectators, powerless, regretful, watching from the sidelines as you rise beyond their reach. Oh, they'll pretend they don't see it. They'll act like it doesn't bother them, but deep down, it kills them. Every win you stack, every step you take, every time your name crosses their mind, it burns. Because this wasn't how it was supposed to go. You were supposed to stay beneath them. You were supposed to crawl back, beg for their approval, need them. But you don't. You never did. And now, they're the ones suffocating on their own arrogance. You walk into rooms they can't enter, build a life they can't touch, and no matter how hard they try, they can't rewrite history. They lost you. The best thing they ever had. And worse, you don't even hate them. No. You don't feel anything for them at all. Indifference? That's the final nail in the coffin. Because love and hate, they still bind you to someone. But nothing is the abyss where they drown. Let them watch, let them ache, let them wish they had treated you differently. Because the past is a locked door, and you swallowed the key. You are no longer their mistake to fix, no longer their toy to break. You are gone, and you are thriving. And that will haunt them far worse than your absence ever could. They swore they'd move on, that you were just a phase, a passing shadow, a name that would fade with time. But here's the thing about ghosts. They don't need permission to haunt. And you are the nightmare they can't wake up from. Everywhere they go, you're there. In the laughter of a stranger, in the silence of an empty room, in the eyes of someone who will never measure up. They'll chase replacements, build illusions, pretend, but no one feels like you. No one cuts like you did. And that is your final curse upon them. They will search for you in everyone they meet, hoping, praying, but all they will find are cheap imitations, hollow echoes of something real. And with every failure, every disappointment, that pit in their stomach will grow deeper because they know the truth. They had something irreplaceable and they threw it away. And the cruelest part, You don't even have to lift a finger. Regret is its own executioner, and they are serving a life sentence. You are the story they tell themselves in the dark, the lesson they learned too late, the one who got away. And no matter how far they run, how many times they lie to themselves, they will never, ever escape you. Ah, isn't it funny? The way the tables turn, the way fate has a twisted sense of humor. They thought they held the power, thought they could discard you like yesterday's ashes, thought they could forget. But now you are the storm in their quiet nights, the phantom in their rearview mirror, the ghost they can't outrun. And the best part? You're not even watching anymore. You've moved on, risen, become something they can't touch, can't reach, can't ruin. But them? Oh, they're stuck, trapped in a cage of their own making, because they know, deep down in the hollow ache of regret, that they lost something irreplaceable. And that is their punishment. So go on, keep walking, keep rising. Let them rot in their own what-ifs and almosts. Let them whisper your name like a forbidden spell, knowing it holds no power over you anymore. And as they sit there, watching from the shadows, drowning in their own regret, do me a favor, will you? Laugh. Ah, welcome back. You walking, ? You beautiful disruption in human form. You silent earthquake that nobody saw coming. There's something about you, isn't there? Something they can't name, can't package, can't scroll past without feeling it crawl under their skin like a frequency that won't stop humming. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way conversations pause half a second too long when you walk in. The way eyes linger even when there's nothing left to look at. The way people keep bringing you up in conversations you're not even part of. They don't want to. Trust me, they actually hate that they can't stop thinking about you. But something in you triggers a neurological hijacking they have zero control over. It's not your looks, not your words, not even your energy in the traditional sense. It's something deeper, something coded into your presence that bypasses their rational mind and goes straight to the part of their brain that recognizes danger, power, mystery. Let me tell you what's really happening here, while they're pretending you're just another person. Their subconscious is screaming alarms, sending red flags, triggering ancient survival instincts, because you don't fit the pattern. You don't follow the script. You don't operate like the rest of the predictable masses they've learned to categorize and dismiss. You are the glitch in their comfortable reality, the error message in their social programming, the static in their perfectly filtered feed. When they look at you, something in their primitive brain whispers, "This one is different. This one sees through the performance. This one cannot be controlled." And that thought, that tiny whisper of recognition, it hijacks their entire operating system. Suddenly they're checking if you saw their story, replaying what they said to you 3 days ago, wondering what you think of them even though they swore they didn't care. They refresh, they obsess, they analyze your smallest reactions like archaeologists studying ancient texts. Here's what they won't admit out loud. Not to their friends, not to their therapists, not even to themselves at 3 a.m. when the truth gets too heavy to carry. You make them feel seen, not in the warm, fuzzy way, in the uncomfortable way, in the way that exposes every mask they wear, every lie they tell, every corner they've been hiding in. Your silence reads like judgment. Your presence feels like a mirror they didn't ask for. Your energy exposes the fakeness they've built their whole identity around. They wanted to dismiss you as quiet, weird, too intense, too much. But something won't let them. Something keeps dragging their attention back to you, like gravity, like magnetism, like an addiction they never signed up for. You are not trying to be mysterious. You are not performing aloofness. You are not playing games. You are simply existing in a frequency they can't ignore. And that is what makes you absolutely terrifying to people who survive on being forgettable. So they watch you, not because they admire you, at least not yet, but because they can't figure you out. They watch because every time they think they've got you categorized, you do something that shatters the box. Say something that rewrites their assumptions. Stay silent in a way that says more than their entire vocabulary could ever express. You are the puzzle their ego insists they can solve. The mystery their mind obsesses over at night. The presence that refuses to fade even when you're gone. And the sickest part, the part that keeps them awake, scrolling through old conversations, is that you don't even notice. You're not tracking their reactions, not analyzing their attention, not feeding off their obsession. You're just living. And somehow, that makes the pull even stronger. Because obsession doesn't come from someone begging for it. It comes from someone who doesn't need it at all. And you beautiful, untouchable force, you stopped needing anything from anyone a long time ago. Now let's talk about what happens when you enter a room. Not physically, emotionally, energetically, existentially. The air shifts, doesn't it? Not because you announced yourself, not because you performed some grand entrance, but because your presence carries weight, carries history, carries 1,000 unspoken truths that people feel before they even process them consciously. They don't know why they straightened their posture, why they lowered their voice mid-sentence, why they suddenly became hyper-aware of how fake their laugh sounds. But you know, because you've seen this reaction 100 times. You are the uninvited reminder that most people are performing, pretending, hiding, and your refusal to join the theater makes everyone else's costume feel ridiculous. They hate you for it. They respect you for it. They can't stop thinking about you because of it. Here's the thing they don't teach you in school, in therapy, in self-help books that smell like lavender and lies. Attention is not earned through noise, through performance, through begging people to look at you. Attention, real attention, the kind that burrows into someone's psyche and sets up permanent residence. That comes from presence, from authenticity so raw it makes people uncomfortable, from energy so unapologetic it forces others to confront their own compromises. You didn't wake up one day and decide to become magnetic. You didn't follow some viral strategy for making people obsessed. You simply stopped pretending, stopped shrinking, stopped translating yourself into digestible content for people who were never going to understand you anyway. And the moment you stopped performing, the moment you stopped caring whether they got it or not, that was the moment you became impossible to ignore, impossible to forget, impossible to reduce to a simple label or easy category. They try. Oh, how they try to box you in, to explain you away, to reduce you to a single trait they can mock or dismiss. They're just quiet, they say. But then you speak, and the whole room goes silent because your words carry weight. Theirs never will. They're just intense, they whisper. But intensity is just their word for depth they'll never reach, for thoughts they'll never think, for feelings they've been running from their whole lives. They're just different, they conclude. And finally, they stumble on to something true. But different doesn't mean less. Different doesn't mean wrong. Different means you're operating on a frequency they're not evolved enough to process yet. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are simply refusing to dumb yourself down to make mediocrity feel comfortable. And that refusal, that quiet rebellion, that's what hijacks their attention and won't let go. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening in their head when they think about you, when they scroll past your name, when they see you across the room. There's a war happening, a full-scale psychological battle between their ego and their intuition, between what they want to believe and what they know is true. Their ego screams, "They're nobody special. Just another person trying too hard to be different. Just another wannabe mysterious loner who thinks they're better than everyone else." But their intuition, that quiet voice they've been ignoring for years, it whispers something else entirely. This person sees through you. This person knows the truth you're hiding. This person is exactly what you could have been if you hadn't sold out for comfort and approval. And that whisper, that tiny crack in their armor, it grows every time they encounter you. Every time you refuse to play their games. Every time you exist without needing their validation. So they obsess, not because they want to, but because something in them recognizes something in you. Something they lost a long time ago. Something they buried under layers of performance and people-pleasing and fear. They see freedom in you. Real freedom. Not the Instagram caption kind. Not the living my best life delusion. But the terrifying, beautiful freedom that comes from no longer giving a damn what anyone thinks. From no longer needing anyone's permission to exist exactly as you are. And that freedom, that unapologetic authenticity, it triggers something primal in them. Something hungry. Something desperate. Something that wants to consume you, understand you, become you. But here's the joke. The cosmic punchline they'll never get. You can't become someone else's freedom. You can only find your own. And watching you won't give them the answer. It'll just make them more obsessed with the question. You know what really happens when they look at you? When they really look. Not the casual glance, not the polite acknowledgement, but the deep stare they try to hide behind fake conversations and forced smiles. They see everything they're not, everything they gave up, everything they compromised for a life that looks good on paper but feels hollow at 2 a.m. When the performance finally stops, you are the living proof that another way exists, that people can survive without constant validation, that strength doesn't require an audience, that peace doesn't need applause, and that proof, that walking contradiction to everything they've built their identity on, it shatters them quietly, slowly, completely. They wanted you to fail, to break, to prove that being real doesn't work in this world, but you didn't. You thrived in your own way, on your own terms, and now they're stuck watching someone live the life they were too afraid to choose. Let's go deeper into the mechanics of this hijacking, into the psychology they don't want you to understand. Because once you do, once you see how this works, you become even more powerful, even more untouchable. Human beings are pattern recognition machines. We survive by categorizing, by predicting, by fitting everything into neat little boxes that help us navigate the chaos. Friendly, threat, useful, irrelevant. We sort people faster than we realize, usually within seconds of meeting them. But you don't fit any of their boxes. You don't trigger their usual responses. You exist in the space between categories, in the gap their brain can't process. And that gap, that cognitive dissonance, it creates an obsessive loop they can't escape. Their brain keeps trying to solve you, to figure you out, to make you make sense. And every time they think they've cracked the code, you shift, you evolve, you reveal another layer they didn't see coming. This is why they can't stop talking about you, analyzing you, bringing you up in conversations that have nothing to do with you. Their brain is stuck in an infinite loop, trying to resolve the paradox of your existence, trying to reconcile the fact that someone can be this self-contained, this unmoved by external validation, this comfortable in their own skin without needing constant reassurance. You break their model of how humans are supposed to operate. You violate their understanding of social dynamics. You exist as proof that their entire worldview might be wrong. And that possibility, that tiny crack in their reality, it terrifies them more than any direct threat ever could. Because if you can be this way, if you can thrive without playing their games, then maybe, just maybe, everything they've sacrificed for acceptance was for nothing. And that thought, that devastating realization, they'll do anything to avoid it, including obsessing over you until they find a flaw, a weakness, some proof that you're not as real as you seem. But here's what destroys them slowly, methodically, completely. They never find that proof. They watch you for months, years, waiting for the mask to slip, for the performance to crack, for the real you to emerge and prove that you're just like them underneath all the mystery. But the mask never slips because there is no mask. The performance never cracks because there is no performance. The real you is already here, has always been here, refusing to hide, refusing to shrink, refusing to translate itself into something more palatable for people who can't handle the truth. You are not playing a character. You are not building a brand. You are not performing authenticity for the algorithm. You are simply being. And that simple act of existing without pretense, it's the most radical thing a person can do in a world built on lies, filters, and carefully curated fakeness. So they keep watching, keep analyzing, keep trying to decode the secret formula that makes you this way. But there is no formula. There is no trick. There is no step-by-step guide to becoming unbothered by the opinions of people who don't matter. You didn't read a book, didn't follow a guru, didn't manifest this energy through affirmations and vision boards. You earned it through pain, through betrayal, through nights when you had nothing but your own mind and the crushing weight of truth, through moments when you had to choose between being liked and being real, and you chose real every single time. That choice, that repeated, brutal, honest choice, it forged you into something they can study but never replicate, something they can admire but never become. Because becoming you would require them to let go of everything they've been clinging to, every mask, every performance, every comfortable lie they've told themselves about who they are. Now we arrive at the part they'll never admit, not to you, not to their friends, not even to themselves when the loneliness gets too loud to ignore. They are addicted to you, not in the romantic sense, not in the obsessive stalker sense, but in the way people get addicted to things they can't control, things that make them feel something real in a world of manufactured emotions and performative feelings. You make them feel uncertain, uncomfortable, exposed, and in a strange, twisted way, they crave that feeling because it's the only genuine emotion they've had in years. Everyone else makes them feel safe, predictable, understood. But you make them feel awake, alert, aware of every facade they're wearing. And that awareness, that sudden clarity. It's addictive precisely because it's painful. Here's the mechanism behind the addiction. The neurological trick their brain is playing on them without their conscious awareness. Every time they encounter you, every time they see your name, every time they remember something you said 3 months ago that still echoes in their mind, their brain releases a cocktail of chemicals: dopamine for the novelty, cortisol for the uncertainty, adrenaline for the perceived threat, oxytocin for the connection they imagine might be possible. This chemical storm creates a high, a rush, a feeling of being intensely alive that their comfortable, predictable life never provides. And like any addiction, they start craving that feeling, start seeking opportunities to trigger it, start manufacturing excuses to be near you, to think about you, to talk about you, all while pretending they don't care, all while maintaining the performance that you're just another person they barely notice. But you're not just another person, and they know it, and that knowledge burns them slowly from the inside out. They've met thousands of people, forgotten most of them within days. But you carved yourself into their memory without even trying, without even wanting to, without even knowing the power you hold. They replay conversations with you like favorite songs, analyze your reactions like sacred texts, search for hidden meanings in your simplest statements. And the whole time they're doing this, they're pretending it's casual, pretending it's nothing, pretending you haven't hijacked their entire mental operating system. They tell themselves they're just curious, just interested, just trying to understand. But curiosity doesn't keep you up at 3 a.m. obsessing over why someone looked at you a certain way. Curiosity doesn't make you check someone's social media for the 7th time today. Curiosity doesn't turn a casual acquaintance into the main character of your internal monologue. Let me tell you what they're really doing when they say they're just wondering about you, when they casually bring you up in conversation, when they ask mutual friends about you while pretending it's no big deal. They are trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle, trying to find the source code of your power, trying to understand how someone can be this self-sufficient, this unbothered, this immune to the social pressures that control everyone else. They want the formula, the secret, the magic words that will explain how you do it, how you exist without needing validation, without craving attention, without performing for approval. But there is no formula. There is no secret. There are no magic words. There is only the brutal, honest truth that you stopped needing things they still desperately crave. And that difference, that fundamental gap in consciousness, it's what makes you fascinating and them obsessed. And here's the cruelest part of this dynamic. The cosmic joke they'll spend years trying to understand, but never will. The less you need their attention, the more desperately they give it. The less you care about their approval, the harder they work to earn yours. The more unavailable you become, the more valuable you seem. You are not playing hard to get. You are actually hard to get. Not because you're performing some dating strategy, but because you genuinely don't need anyone who doesn't add real value to your life, who doesn't match your energy, who doesn't see you clearly. You've cut the strings most people spend their whole lives tangled in. The need to be liked, to be included, to be understood by people who were never going to get it anyway. And that cutting, that severing of attachment, it gave you a freedom they can feel but can't comprehend, a power they recognize but can't replicate, a peace they desperately want but don't know how to find. So here you stand, unbothered, untouched, unmoved by the chaos swirling around you, by the obsession you didn't ask for, by the attention you never craved. You didn't set out to conquer anyone's mind, didn't plot some master strategy to make people obsessed, didn't wake up one day and decide to become magnetic. You simply stopped playing their game, stopped following their rules, stopped pretending their approval mattered more than your peace. And that decision, that quiet rebellion, it conquered them more completely than any aggressive pursuit ever could, more thoroughly than any loud declaration, more permanently than any performance. You won by not competing. You dominated by not caring. You conquered by walking away from the battlefield entirely and building your own kingdom in the silence they mistook for weakness. Let's talk about what this silent conquest really means, about the psychological territory you've claimed without firing a single shot. You own space in their mind rent-free. You live in their thoughts without permission. You occupy their attention without effort. And the beauty of it, the absolute perfection of this dynamic, is that they gave you this power voluntarily, unconsciously, irreversibly. They wanted to dismiss you, to forget you, to move on. But something in you triggered a response too strong to ignore, too persistent to suppress, too compelling to resist. Now you're the baseline they measure others against, the standard they can't escape, the memory that makes everyone else seem hollow, performative, forgettable. They don't compare people to you consciously, but subconsciously, every new person they meet gets filtered through the question: do they have what that person has? That presence, that realness, that unbothered energy? And the answer is always no. They watch you. Oh, they watch you. Eyes flicker when you walk by, their faces twisting in that delicious mix of curiosity and unease. They whisper, they speculate. They wonder what it is about you that doesn't sit right with them. But here's the best part. They don't even know why. Something about you, it lingers, clings to the air like the scent of a storm before it hits, unsettling, unpredictable. They can't name it, can't touch it, but oh, they feel it. A quiet discomfort creeping up their spines. And that's power. See, the world loves its little labels, neat, tidy, contained. But you ruin that. You slip between their categories, refuse to be defined. You're not one of them, and that bothers them, doesn't it? They crave explanations, desperately searching for a reason, a box, a chain to wrap around you so they can sleep at night. But what happens when there is no explanation? What happens when you don't fit anywhere? I'll tell you what happens. They fear you. Because the unknown, that's where real power lives. The unexplainable, the unpredictable. And you, my dear, are an anomaly. A question they can't answer, a presence they can't ignore, a force they can't tame. And that, oh, that drives them mad. They feel it, don't they? That tension in the air when you walk into the room? That invisible weight pressing down on their fragile little minds? They glance at you, then away, too fast, too nervous. Something about you just doesn't sit right with them. But oh, they can't figure out why. And that bothers them. They tell themselves it's nothing, just a feeling, a passing thought. But it lingers, doesn't it? Like a whisper in the back of their skulls, like a shadow that shouldn't be there. They laugh it off, try to drown it in their comfortable little delusions, but some part of them, some deep primal part, knows that you are not like them. It's the way you move, the way you stand like you belong nowhere and everywhere all at once, the way your silence is louder than their mindless chatter. They don't understand it, and what people don't understand, they fear. Oh, they won't say it outright, no, no. They'll dress it up as suspicion, as judgment, as polite little rejections, but underneath it all, it's fear. They see something in you, something off, something dangerous. Not in the way of a common brute or a reckless fool, no, worse. You're unpredictable, a question without an answer, a puzzle missing too many pieces. And that drives them insane. People like them love to categorize, love to explain things away. A reason for everything, a place for everyone, a cage for every beast. But you don't fit. You break the pattern, the formula. You are a glitch in their reality, an unsettling truth they'd rather not face. Oh, they'll try to play it cool, try to ignore it, try to convince themselves that you're nothing special. But watch them. Watch the way their hands fidget, the way their voices hesitate, the way their eyes never meet yours for too long. Because deep down, in places they'll never admit, they know. And they hate that they know. They try to sort you, label you, tuck you away into their neat little categories, a role, a title, a definition they can stamp onto your forehead like a price tag. But you don't fit. You never have. No matter how much they shove, twist, and force, you spill over the edges. Too sharp, too different, too much. Oh, how they hate that. It frustrates them, like trying to force a jagged piece into a puzzle that was never meant to hold it. They talk about belonging, about fitting in, but what they really mean is obedience, conformity. Be like us, they whisper. Think like us. Walk like us. Stay in your place. But you laugh, because you've seen their place. Their perfect little worlds built on lies they tell themselves just to sleep at night. Their fragile sense of identity. Their pathetic need to be accepted. They cling to it like a lifeline, terrified of standing alone. But you were born alone. And unlike them, you don't fear it. They'll call you an outsider, a freak, a misfit, and they'll say it like it's an insult, like not being one of them is some great tragedy. But let me tell you something. They are the ones trapped. They are the ones bending, breaking, bleeding just to be part of something that would throw them away in an instant. You are free. Because when you don't belong, when you refuse to belong, you become untouchable. No leash, no chain, no desperate need for approval. That terrifies them more than anything. A person who doesn't care for their acceptance, who walks their own path, plays by their own rules, oh, that's dangerous. And here's the real joke. They don't reject you because you don't belong. No, no, no. They reject you because they know they never could be like you. They envy that freedom, that fire, that reckless audacity to exist without their permission. But instead of admitting it, they call you the outcast. Oh, they talk, endlessly, chattering like nervous little birds, flapping their wings, making all that noise. They fill the air with empty words, desperate to be seen, to be important. Loudness to them is power. But you don't need to be loud. You don't need to scream, and that's what scares them. Because silence, real silence, it's heavier than words. It presses into a room, coils around the air like smoke. When you walk in, you don't announce yourself. You don't beg for attention, and yet they feel you. Oh, do they feel you. Like a shift in the wind before a storm, like a shadow stretching too long in the dim light. They sense something, something off, something dangerous. They glance at you, try to read you, try to understand what it is about you that doesn't fit into their fragile little world. And when they can't figure it out, it eats them alive. Because power, true power, it isn't in the noise. It isn't in the shouting or the boasting or the desperate little games people play to prove they matter. No, no, no. It's in the stillness, the kind that unsettles, the kind that forces people to ask, what are they thinking? What do they know that I don't? That's why they can't look away. Why they stumble over their words when you lock eyes with them. Why they laugh a little too loud, a little too forced, when you stay quiet while they rant and babble. They feel it in their bones, an instinct buried deep in the animal part of their brain. You don't talk because you don't need to. You don't waste words. You don't fill silences out of fear. And that is the kind of control that can break a person. Because when the world is built on noise, the one who can sit in silence owns the room. And they know it. Oh, they know it. That's why they try to provoke you, try to drag you into their mess, try to make you prove yourself. But you don't bite, do you? You just watch. And that, my friend, that is the kind of power that turns people into nervous wrecks. So let them talk, let them shout, let them make fools of themselves, trying so desperately to be heard, because in the end, the one they remember, the one they fear, it's not the one making the most noise, it's the one who didn't have to. They like patterns, predictability, a world that makes sense. It keeps them safe, it keeps them in control. But you don't play by their rules. You don't fit into their neat little categories. You're the glitch in their perfect system, the question mark they never saw coming. And oh, how it bothers them. They study you, analyze you, obsess over you, trying to crack the code. But there is no code, no formula, no easy answers, just you, the one thing they can't pin down, the variable they can't control. And nothing terrifies people more than what they can't control. Because the moment they think they've figured you out, you shift. A step left when they expected right, a smirk when they thought you'd flinch, a laugh when they swore you'd break. It's like watching a shadow move when there's no light to cast it. Impossible, unnerving, wrong, and that's your greatest weapon, isn't it? Not strength, not speed, not force, but uncertainty. The fear that they don't know what you'll do next. Because when people can predict something, they feel safe. They plan, they prepare, they relax. But when they can't, when they have to guess, oh, that's when the fear sets in. They ask themselves, are they friend or foe? Are they watching me or ignoring me? Do they even care? What if they don't? What if they know something I don't? And just like that, you've crawled inside their head, rent-free, wrapped around their thoughts like a snake, squeezing every ounce of certainty from their fragile little minds. Because the truth is, people don't fear what they see, they fear what they don't. They fear the empty spaces, the unknown depths, the monsters that might be lurking in the dark. And you, my friend, you are the dark. So let them wonder, let them doubt, let them stay up at night replaying every word, every glance, every silence, trying to decipher what it meant. Let them fear you, not for what you do, but for what you might. Because the scariest thing in this world It's not a man with a plan. It's a man without one. Or at least, a man who lets them think he has none. They sense it. The shadows clinging to you like an old familiar coat. The weight in your steps. The quiet in your eyes. They don't know what you've been through, but, oh, they feel it. And it unnerves them. Because people like things that are clean, untouched, simple. They like smiles that reach the eyes, voices that don't waver, pasts that don't leave ghosts in their wake. But you are none of those things. You walk with the echoes of battles they'll never understand. You carry scars, some seen, most hidden, but all of them real. And that makes them nervous, because scars mean survival, and survival, that means you've endured. You've seen things, felt things, lived things that would break them in an instant. They look at you and see the aftermath of a war they could never fight, and it shakes them to their core. They whisper about you, call you cold, detached, say you're different, but what they really mean is, I don't understand them, and that scares me. Because people fear what they cannot categorize. And you're not the victim they expect. You're not the broken, sobbing wreck they want you to be. You are something else entirely. You took your pain and sharpened it, molded it, wore it like armor until it became part of you. You didn't let the past bury you, you buried it. And that is what sets you apart. That is why they look at you with uneasy glances, sensing something off but never quite grasping why. Because strength, real strength, is not in the absence of pain. It's in the ability to carry it, to own it, to laugh in its face and keep moving forward. They see your scars, but they do not see the power that came from them. They see the cracks, but not the fire burning beneath. And maybe that's for the best. Let them wonder, let them doubt, let them keep their safe little illusions, thinking strength comes wrapped in pretty bows and soft words. Because when the time comes, when the moment truly matters, they will realize the truth. You are not despite your pain, you are because of it, and that makes you unstoppable. Oh, they avoid eye contact, don't they? Glance away the second you meet their gaze, shift in their seats when you walk by, keep their voices just a little lower when you're near. Fascinating, isn't it? They don't even realize they're doing it. Instinct, like prey sensing a predator in the room. But let's be clear, it's not because you're loud. Not because you throw your weight around, demand attention, or beg to be noticed. No, it's because you don't. You exist in a way they can't define, and that makes them nervous, because people like things they can label. They want to put you in a nice, neat little box. Friend, enemy, threat, harmless. But you don't fit. You never have. They tell themselves it's you, that you're the odd one, the different one, the reason they feel uneasy. But the truth is that you reflect something back at them, something they don't like. Maybe it's their own weakness, their own insecurity. Maybe, just maybe, you remind them that their little world is fragile. Because you don't play their game. You don't follow their script. And nothing is more terrifying to them than someone who refuses to be controlled. They sense it even if they don't understand it. That quiet defiance in the way you carry yourself. That calm indifference to their approval. And that is what truly unsettles them. They keep their distance not because you are dangerous, but because you could be. Not because you threaten them, but because they know deep down that you wouldn't flinch if you had to. There's something about you, something they can't quite name, that whispers of certainty, of conviction, of a spine made of something they don't have. And so they step aside, give you space, tell themselves it's you that's different, when the truth is, it's them who are afraid. Afraid of what you might be capable of. Afraid of what they see in you and don't see in themselves. Let them keep their distance. Let them cast their wary glances, because at the end of the day, the ones who fear you the most, they are the ones who understand exactly what you are, even if they'll never admit it. At first they laugh, dismiss you, shrug you off like a passing thought, a joke they don't take seriously. Look at them, so sure of themselves, so confident that they have you figured out, that you're just another face in the crowd, another name they'll forget. But the tide always turns, slowly, then all at once, because you don't fade away. You don't break. You don't crumble like they expected you to. No, you rise, inch by inch, step by step. And while they were busy underestimating you, something happened. You kept going, and that they never saw coming. At first, the shift is subtle. They stop laughing as much. Their insults feel weaker, like they're trying to convince themselves more than you. They start watching, really watching, because something isn't adding up in their little story. Then the fear sets in. They see it now. The fire in your eyes, the purpose in your steps, that unshakable energy surrounding you, like a storm just waiting to break loose. And suddenly their words, their doubts, their little games, they don't work anymore, because you don't react the way they expect. You don't crave their validation, you don't beg for their approval. And when they finally realize that you were never playing their game to begin with, oh, the horror on their faces. By the time they understand what you are, it's too late. They should have respected you, should have supported you, should have known better, but now they stand there, stunned, helpless, powerless, watching you rise beyond their reach. And in that moment, my dear, you win. They want you to hide it, don't they? To shrink, to soften the edges, to blend in. Because if you did that, if you played along, oh, how much easier it would be for them, how much safer they would feel. But you were never meant to be safe. They see the shadows clinging to you, the weight of your past, the scars you don't bother to explain, and it unsettles them, because they live in a world of masks, polished, fake, comfortable. But you tore yours off a long time ago, and that's what makes you dangerous. They whisper about you, call you different, call you broken, but broken things, they cut. And you wear your cracks like battle scars, like proof that you walked through the fire and came out sharper. So let them watch, let them wonder, let them fear, because fear, fear is power. And those who fear you, they remember you. You were never meant to be understood, only remembered.